Imagine this, a quiet suburban street. The sun is setting, casting a warm golden hue over the neighborhood. The air is filled with the sounds of children laughing and playing, their carefree voices echoing through the streets. Children are playing in the fading light. Their games and laughter create a sense of normalcy and safety. It's a scene that could be from any town, anywhere. Parents are coming home from work. They greet their neighbors, exchange pleasantries, and head inside to their families. Everything seems peaceful, normal, the kind of place where nothing bad could ever happen. But inside one house, a nightmare is unfolding. Behind closed doors, hidden from the cheerful exterior, something sinister is brewing. A babysitter, young and trusting, has let someone into the home. She believes she is doing her job, keeping the children safe. Someone she thinks is safe. A familiar face, perhaps a neighbor or a friend of the family. Someone who doesn't raise any alarms. Someone who has been carefully, cleverly lying in wait. Watching, planning, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. This is no ordinary visitor. This is someone with dark intentions. Someone who has come to shatter the peace of this quiet suburb. This is a monster in disguise. A predator who hides behind a mask of normalcy, blending in with the everyday life of the neighborhood. And tonight, another innocent life will be extinguished. The darkness that lurks within this person will claim another victim. This is not just a terrifying story. It's a grim reminder of the dangers that can hide in plain sight. It is a chilling echo of the very real crimes of David Edward Maust, a man whose actions brought fear and horror to the suburbs, a man whose name became synonymous with horror. His crimes left a lasting scar on the community, a reminder of the evil that can lurk behind a friendly face. A man who preyed on the innocent, often targeting those entrusted with the care of children. His actions were calculated, his demeanor deceptive. He was the boogeyman made flesh, a predator hiding in plain sight. The shadow in the suburbs, a constant reminder that sometimes the greatest threats are the ones we never see coming. David Maust's story began like a dark fairy tale, twisted from the very start. Born in 1954, his early years were marked by abuse and neglect. A childhood of torment twisted into a young adulthood of violence. At the tender age of 19, he committed his first murder, a horrifying act that would foreshadow a lifetime of depravity. The year was 1981. The victim, a 15-year-old boy named Donald Jones. Maust lured him away, plied him with alcohol, and then, in a fit of rage, ended his life. This act of brutal violence was just the beginning of Maust's reign of terror, a taste of the darkness that festered within him. It wouldn't be his last kill, not even close. Maust was cunning. He knew how to blend in, how to appear harmless. He used this to his advantage, often targeting vulnerable young people. He would often approach them with a friendly smile, offering odd jobs or small acts of kindness. He presented himself as a helpful neighbor, a trustworthy adult figure. But behind this facade of normalcy lurked a mind consumed by darkness. He was a master manipulator, weaving a web of lies to ensnare his victims. He played on their trust, their innocence, their desire to please. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing, and his prey rarely saw him coming. Maust's crimes spanned decades and states, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. One of the places forever scarred by his evil was the small town of Trail Creek, Indiana. It was here, in the early 1980s, that he committed a series of horrific crimes targeting young boys. He would hold them captive in his home, subjecting them to unspeakable acts of torture and abuse. His methods were brutal, calculated to inflict the maximum amount of pain and terror. The boys were trapped, their cries for help silenced within the walls of his house of horrors. Section 5. A Trail of Broken Lives. Maust's crimes finally caught up with him in 1984. He was arrested and charged with multiple counts of kidnapping and assault. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and the testimonies of his victims were, well, heartbreaking. He was sentenced to 45 years in prison, a punishment that seemed fitting for the gravity of his crimes. But even behind bars, Maust's darkness lingered. He was far from a model prisoner, his time incarcerated marked by violence and instability. He showed no remorse for his actions, seemingly reveling in the terror he had inflicted. He was a predator through and through, his soul seemingly devoid of any humanity. Section 6, Behind Bars but Not Forgotten. Despite the seeming justice of his incarceration, Maust's story was far from over. After serving 17 years of his sentence, he was released in 1999. The decision to free him was met with outrage and fear, many believing he was still a danger to society. Their fears were tragically well-founded. It wouldn't be long before Maust returned to his old ways, his thirst for violence undeterred by his years behind bars. He seemed to pick up right where he left off, disappearing back into the shadows, ready to claim new victims. Section 7. The Monster Unleashed. In the early 2000s, Maust settled in Hammond, Indiana. He once again assumed the guise of a harmless neighbor, blending into the community. But behind the facade, the monster was stirring. He began to prey on young boys again, luring them into his home with promises of money or work. His crimes escalated, becoming even more brutal. He tortured and murdered 3 teenagers, their bodies hidden within the walls of his home. His methods were cold, calculated, the work of a true psychopath. He seemed to relish in the suffering of his victims, their pain a perverse source of pleasure. Section 8. Justice at last. In 2003, Maust's reign of terror finally came to an end. After years of evading the law, his dark deeds caught up with him. The city, which had been gripped by fear, could finally breathe a sigh of relief. One of his intended victims managed to escape and alert the authorities. This brave individual, whose quick thinking and courage saved countless lives, became the key to unraveling Maust's sinister activities. When police searched Maust's home, they uncovered a scene of unimaginable horror. The evidence they found was overwhelming, painting a chilling picture of the atrocities committed within those walls. The bodies of his victims were found entombed within the walls, a gruesome testament to his depravity. Each discovery added another layer to the horror, revealing the extent of his monstrous acts. Maust confessed to the murders and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The courtroom was filled with a mix of relief and sorrow as justice was finally served. This time there would be no second chance, no opportunity for him to harm another soul. The prison walls that now confined him were a stark contrast to the freedom he once abused. But his capture did little to ease the pain of his crimes. The community, though safer, was left to grapple with the emotional scars left behind. The families of his victims were left to pick up the pieces, forever haunted by the horrors he had inflicted. Their lives, irrevocably changed, became a testament to the enduring impact of his actions. The memories of their loved ones, however, would continue to shine brightly, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. Section 9. Echoes of Evil. David Edward Maust's story serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most seemingly ordinary individuals. Born in 1954, Maust's life was marred by violence and crime from an early age. His troubled childhood and subsequent criminal activities painted a picture of a man deeply entrenched in a world of darkness. He was a monster who hid in plain sight, preying on the innocent and vulnerable. His ability to blend into society, to appear as just another face in the crowd, made him all the more dangerous. Maust's charm and seemingly normal exterior masked a sinister reality. His crimes were a horrifying testament to the depths of human depravity, a stark reminder that evil can take many forms. From his first known murder in 1974 to his eventual capture, Maust left a trail of devastation and heartbreak. Each crime scene, each victim, added to the chilling narrative of his life. His legacy is one of pain, loss, and enduring fear. The families of his victims are forever scarred, their lives irrevocably changed by his actions. Memorials and gravestones stand as silent witnesses to the horror he inflicted. He may be gone, but the echoes of his evil linger, a chilling reminder that the world can be a dangerous place and monsters can wear many faces. The fear he instilled continues to resonate, a dark shadow over the places he once haunted. His story is a cautionary tale, a stark reminder to be vigilant, to protect the innocent, and to never underestimate the potential for darkness within the human heart. It urges us to look beyond the surface, to question the ordinary, and to remain ever watchful for the signs of hidden malevolence.